What are your impressions of our little town?
I just love it here. The mountains, pine trees, a look of fear in everyone's eyes.
The look of Wayward Pines, for me, it's quaint Americana as the backdrop for something very dark and sinister.
It's a very heightened reality where there's many layers to it. So it's exciting to act, but it's also really exciting for the viewers.
We're in a small town that seems idyllic, and everything is just a little heightened. Everything is just a little odd.
The more you see, the less anything makes sense in this town.
Background action!
The look and feel of the town of Wayward Pines is what the story is really all about.
There's definitely an agenda in the design of the town because it's artifice. So you have to convey the two levels of that in production design.
What are you hiding?
They wanted it to subconsciously almost tap into those feelings of security and comfort and peacefulness that you think of when we were in our heyday as a country.
It's just another beautiful day in the friendliest place on earth.
Normally, we would put aging on everything. We would round the corners. We would fray things. But we didn't want to do those kind of things here because it's brand spanking new and overly cleaned up, overly perfect.
The production designer, Kurt Beach, who's really brilliant, he and his art department team, they created a style guide.
We made the town a greatest hits of Western towns from the 1890s to the 1920s or 30s. And because the town that we were working in has some stuff from the 50s and 60s, we brought some of that nostalgic stuff in as well.
We had to make very specific decisions about every small detail. What do the phones look like? What are the cars? What are people wearing?
So Mary Vogt, our costume designer, was very, very specific, and we had a lot of conversations about the development of the wardrobe. Nothing that ever called attention to a very specific period of time.
When you look closer, you'll notice
trailers.
the cash registers in the Excellent Bean is a very old cash register.
You give that to me, and I give this to you.
Thanks.
We made the decision to go to a place where the pines were the dramatic visual element. So we ended up finding this beautiful town outside of Vancouver.
Agassiz in British Columbia is about 90 minutes outside of the city, and so it was a haul, but it was worth it.
It really does feel like there's not a lot of acting that needs to go into the fact that it feels like we're very remote.
We've done quite a bit of practical building so that the directors can move through things freely and see most of the world.
In their actual town. Their main street is a one-sided main street. Our main street is a two-sided main street, which is actually, you'd think might be a problem, but for us was very lucky because that meant we could build our own side. So we basically got exactly what we wanted. One thing I didn't anticipate as much was that for many shots, though, we had to actually have visual effects come in and paint different mountains into the backgrounds because one of the key points of the story is that you can't get out of this town.
Where's my phone and the rest of my things?
We don't have anything of yours.
There's no television in Wayward Pines.
Do you have any working computers?
No, I'm afraid not, no.
There's no internet, which I think is great. That would be great.
How about a newspaper?
We haven't had an issue for about 2 weeks now. I guess there hasn't been that much news.
No, I guess not.
There are various incongruities about why things don't work the way they do in the normal world.
Not having all those advancements is actually more freeing than it is limiting. You want to make things hard for people, and so making them have to actually walk there, or making them not be able to just pick up a phone out of their pocket and call someone.
Oh my God, what happened to you?
I need a phone.
Sure, no problem.
Thanks.
There you go.
A lot of the conveniences that we're used to in everyday life now, they're not a part of Wayward Pines.
The color palette was also a big thing of what are the colors that are in the town. You know, there's yellows and pinks and light blues and pastels, really, you know, beautiful sort of calming feeling.
And then when we get into the digital world inside of the mountain, you push more to electric blues, the more artificial lighting.
Of course, I'll give her the message.
There was sort of a gray, orange color palette, and you will never see any orange in the town of Wayward Pines. And then the blues that you see in the superstructure are like more of a high-tech feeling.
I didn't choose to do this. I did it because I had to.
We definitely use the style Bible in the hospital. Do we want this to feel like an old sort of psychotic mental hospital, or do we want it to feel like a real hospital?
What kind of doctor are you?
Psychiatrist.
And all those conversations led to what it looks like, which is sort of a combination of all of that. Kurt Beach found this shade of green. It's not like Wayward Pines forest green. It's like a nice green and also a little bit psycho.
Mr. Burke, you're not thinking clearly.
One of the most memorable parts of the 10 episodes is when the kids are getting the news for the first time. It was a beautiful decision from the production designer to make it stark, Kubrickian white, and have no detail, like a surgical room.
It's almost like they're wiping away all frame of reference for them. So this is a rebirth.
I said this room should be nothing except for what they're learning in it.
Welcome to orientation.
What it did as an audience member is made me concentrate on their faces and their expressions as they were taking in the fact that they're not in the time period that they thought they were.
We only allow those who we believe are truly ready.
The black and white colors absolutely reflect that this is a black and white world now, and this is what's true, this is what isn't. It was really my favorite thing Kurt did in the series.
Ready for what?
For the truth.
My favorite set that he built is Pilcher's office, which is this sort of Versailles, old French, over-the-top Rococo palace kind of vibe.
It's great because you have this juxtaposition of the raw, natural, wild world with this incredibly civilized world as well.
You have to tell them the truth.
He also knew I can decide which art and literature I may want to preserve for myself and for future generations, so he could almost curate the future.
And you can see out the window, you can see Wayward Pines, the town down there. It's like he's the god looking over his creation.
This isn't a little town, Ethan. This is a new civilization.
In the suspension center, Kurt really kind of balanced the organic world with futuristic technology. The black sand was used instead of ice, instead of freezing, as something just indescribably kind of organic, but yet with some hard steel and metal.
This is the main chamber room. And at the end of the room, there's a green screen there. Green screen allows us to extend the room in the computer and make it look like this goes on and on and on forever, that there are thousands of people, theoretically.
When I first saw these kind of vertical tubes of where everybody was, it made me feel the future, but not in a future that I had seen. It just had a kind of sacred egg-like quality, like the feeling of things being hatched.
When we're coming to the ending episodes, the facade has dropped. And people break into factions, and it becomes kind of almost a militarized, a combat look.
Show me outside the perimeter.
And you see that reflected in the wardrobe.
We're drawn to Wayward Pines because it's both the bright side and the dark side of the American dream.
It brought you into a world that felt kind of oddly reminiscent of our world, and yet everything about it was just a little bit different.
You could have an amazing life here.
Wayward Pines presents the kind of life that many people dream of. It is a dream.
You were chosen to be part of a special community. A community that is not part of the world you once knew.
You know, I've always been fascinated by questions of community, the power of community versus the individual. What are the community's rules for goodness?
Do not try to leave. Do not discuss the past. Do not discuss your life before.
What is it worth to have everything be right and good and safe?
Everybody's a prisoner here. Follow the rules.
There was always a fable-like quality to this story. And so, you know, we would talk a lot about different mythological kind of bases for the show.
What is Wayward Pines?
Come with me, and I'll show you.
They told me the story from beginning to end of what the secret was, what's going on, and what the mystery was. And it was such a wonderful answer, such a grounded answer. And everything went click. And I was like, I'm in. This is just a big, big idea.
The inspiration for Wayward Pines is a tiny town in Colorado called Uray. I go there on vacations with my family, and I was walking out one night, heard a phone ring, and I thought, what if you couldn't escape this town?
Well, I think it's an interesting question. What is Wayward Pines? Where am I?
You're in Wayward Pines, Idaho.
It's got this huge concept, but there's something also very human about it.
You could be happy here, Ethan.
I think the idea of someone not knowing where they are, where they're going.
Well, I was told that you have my things.
Who told you that? Being forced to live in this moment, that pretty much sums up the entire world.
Why can't anybody leave this town? There's only one way out.
When an actor would come to me and say, why would anybody follow this leader? I would say, because it's working.
In town this year, there were more pregnancies than ever before in Wayward Pines.
There were 18 marriages last year. There were 15 babies last year. It's working. The sole job is to pretend for one generation, do morally questionable things for one generation. Even if you don't feel like it, even though you're doing it out of fear, one generation from now, no one will have to die.
When America was born, there were spies on every corner. Traitors were hung on the street.
You know, whether it's in history or in literature, stonings or burning witches at the stake in Salem, there are examples of this for many periods of history.
It is not just my job to keep this town safe. It's everybody's!
One of the challenges of our show is that it changes genres. The show doesn't betray what genre it is for 5 episodes, and then it's a science fiction show.
Welcome to the first generation.
More akin to Planet of the Apes than anything David Lynch.
This is not the year 2014.
You have to be able to make that turn without losing the audience.
This is the year 4028.
Giving them enough genetics that the switch is inevitable.
The world you know is gone.
The cast most of them had not done TV before, and it's definitely Matt and I had never done TV before, so we definitely approached it as a film. I wanted to take my time, whereas in a film, this part where I wanted to live with the characters might only be like 15 minutes. The idea of TV shows allowing me to do that for a longer period of time was very attractive to me.
This scientist wanted to save a select sample of humans from this change, to preserve our kind as we once were. So he created an ark.
As I got deeper into the book, I realized I was writing about God. And I was writing about the idea of a creator ruling over this micro world and some of the difficult choices and some of the punishments that would have to be met out.
These are the dark ages, but enlightenment is coming.
And there are lots of biblical references throughout and in the books.
We always would look for models for how to kind of compare and contrast and give analogies.
Eden is a big one. This is the perfect place. This is where we're starting over.
We would talk about totalitarian societies or places where information and the truth is parceled out or controlled.
Hey.
One of the keys to the show is this sympathy that you have for the characters, and I don't mean you have to like them, but you have to understand them, especially with Pilcher.
Others have always made choices for us. My actions were motivated by something far purer.
Matt, I think, did an amazing job. I mean, it's a tough role to play, Ethan, because he's the one coming in not knowing anything.
I will do everything in my power to ensure that the evils of this town are brought to light. One of the things that we talk about is don't play the phantasmagorical aspects of the story, the craziness of it. Just try to keep everything as grounded and as real as possible. This fake little town is all that's left.
The premise of Wayward Pines being so grounded in science fiction, in a plausible future, it allowed the characters that seemed like they were caricature, that seemed like they were two-dimensional.
Harold won the horseshoe tournament for the 2nd year in a row, and I happen to think that's something to brag about.
To suddenly become three-dimensional as the show went on.
We have to make this choice together.
Melissa Leo as Nurse Pam, to me, is terrifying.
Hold still, Mr. Burke, or I'll jam this bad boy straight to the bone.
Yet, when you've seen all 10 episodes, you really see why she was doing everything she was doing. And her character, I would venture to say, takes the biggest journey emotionally from episode 1 to episode 10.
I can be a very good friend.
For my money, my job has been to play a consistent, single human being who is perhaps got many sides to her.
Wayward Pines is bigger than you. It's bigger than them. It's bigger than any one of us.
The critical thing to making the series work was interpreting the Abbeys from the book.
Our species has evolved into something less than human.
In the books, they're definitely like a four-legged creature with translucent skin, and you can see their beating hearts, and that's so cool.
First had designs where they were way off the charts, and I was like, you know what? What is the least we can do to the human being and make them an Abbey?
Looks like us.
That's because it once was.
They're an evolution of a human being, so they have to have human-like qualities.
And then tweak them ever so slightly with visual effects. Make their heads a little smaller, a little squatter.
Note the bird-like talons capable of killing prey in a single stroke.
The teeth are spiky and almost shark-like, predator-like. So they've gone back to having to kind of kill their food.
Their ears have an extended range of hearing.
Being stronger meant they could be faster.
When Pilcher releases the Abbeys into the town, I think it's kind of a biblical moment. It's God bringing flood to the earth. I mean, are the Abbeys actually bad? They're there for a reason. They're supposed to be here. The only thing that's not supposed to be here is Wayward Pines.
But remember, the Abbeys did not begin like this. They became this.
What the series forces you to think about is that there is an incredibly strong, innate instinct to survive for people.
We need someone like you.
And what that brings out in people,
You have to put an end to this.
it's all different and unpredictable.
We're gonna make it out of here.
We are capable of huge acts of kindness and benevolence, and also of horrible acts in the name of survival.
People are fragile. They need time to adapt.
Are you gonna go quietly into the night, or are you gonna go screaming?
Citizens of Wayward, work hard, be happy, enjoy your life in Wayward Pines. We all must do our part.